Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we're continuing with Charlotte's Web, Chapter 2. So, let's start reading. Chapter 2, Wilbur. Fern loved Wilbur more than anything. She loved to stroke him, feed him, and put him to bed. As soon as she got up from bed, she would pour warm milk into Wilbur's bottle, tie his bib on, and held the bottle for him. Every afternoon, when the school bus stopped in front of her house, she would jump out and run to the kitchen to fix another bottle for Wilbur. Fern fed him again at supper time and before going to bed. Each day, Mrs. Arable gave Wilbur a feeding around noontime when Fern was away at school. Wilbur loved his milk. He was never happier than Fern warming up a bottle for him. He would stand and gaze up at Fern with adoring eyes. The first few days of Wilbur's life, he was allowed to live in the kitchen in a small box near the stove. When Mrs. Arable complained, he was moved to a bigger box in the woodshed. At 2 weeks of age, he was moved outdoors. It was apple blossom time. Mr. Arable fixed a small yard specially for Wilbur, and he made a large wooden box full of straw, with a doorway cut so Wilbur could walk in and out as he pleased. "Won't he be cold at night?" asked Fern. "No," said her father. "You watch and see what he does." Carrying a bottle of milk, Fern sat down under the apple tree in the yard. Wilbur ran to her, and Fern held the bottle for him as he sucked. Until Wilbur finished the last drop, he grunted and then walked sleepily into the box. Fern peered through the door. Wilbur was poking straw with his snout. In a short time, Wilbur had dug a tunnel in the straw. Wilbur crawled in the tunnel and soon disappeared inside, covered up with it. Fern was enchanted. She was relieved to know that her baby would sleep covered up and would stay warm. Every morning, after breakfast, Wilbur walked out to the road with Fern. They both will wait for the bus to come. When the bus came, Fern would wave goodbye to Wilbur. Wilbur would stand and watch the bus as it vanished around a turn. When Fern was in school, Wilbur was shut up inside his yard. When Fern was back home from school, she would take Wilbur around the place. If Fern went inside the house, Wilbur went too. If Fern went upstairs, Wilbur would wait at the bottom step until Fern came down again. If Fern took her doll for a walk in the doll carriage, Wilbur followed along. Sometimes on these journeys, Wilbur would get tired. So Fern would put Wilbur in the doll carriage alongside the doll. Wilbur liked this. If Wilbur was very tired, he would go to sleep under the doll's blanket. He looked cute when he closed his eyes because his lashes were so long. Fern would wheel the carriage slowly and smoothly as not to wake up her infants. Fern and Avery put on their bathing suits and went down to the brook for a swim. Wilbur tagged along Fern's heels. When they arrived at the brook, Fern waded in, and Wilbur followed. The water was too cold for Wilbur's liking. So, while the kids played, swam, and splashed water at each other, Wilbur amused himself in the mud at the edge of the brook. Every day was a happy day, and every night was peaceful. Wilbur was what farmers call a spring pig, which normally means he was born in springtime. When he was 5 weeks old, Mr. Arable said that he was big enough to sell and he had to be sold. Fern broke down and wept. But Mr. Arable was firm about it. Wilbur's appetite had increased. He was beginning to eat scraps of food in addition to milk. Mr. Arable was not willing to provide for him any longer. He already sold Wilbur's 10 brothers and sisters. Wilbur has to go, Fern. You have had your fun raising a baby pig, but he has to be sold. Call up the Zuckermans, suggested Mrs. Arable. Your Uncle knows how to raise a pig, and if Wilbur goes to live there, you can walk down the street and visit him as often as you like. How much should I ask from him? Wanted to know Fern. Well, said Mr. Arable, he's a runt. Tell your Uncle Homer that you've got a pig to sell for $6 and see what he says. It was soon arranged. Fern phone called. She got her Aunt Edith. Aunt Edith hollered for Uncle Homer. Uncle Homer came in from the barn and talked to Fern. When he heard that the price was only $6, he agreed to buy Wilbur. The next day, Wilbur was taken from his home under the apple tree and went to live in the manure pile in the cellar of the Zuckerman's barn. So guys, it is the end of today's video. I hope you like it. Make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.